One of the characteristic feature of all living organisms is responding to stimuli or signals. So this stimuli is the plural form of stimulus. So the stimuli or signals will be in the form of heat, light, cold, smell, etc. So these are some of the signals. So when we receive these signals, we will use to react or respond. For example, when we touch the hot object, we will get the signal that it is heat. So what we will do? We will use to remove our hand. That is the responding. So thus we are responding to the signal. So for that responding, our cells and organs has to work together, and that we will call as the coordination. So working together of the cells and organs is called the coordination. And for this coordination, we have to maintain physiological balance, that is the homeostasis. So in animals, the cells and all organs coordinate to do various activities. For that, it should maintain physiological balance, and that is called the homeostasis. All these are regulated by a system called the nervous system. And here we are going to see about the nervous system. This nervous system is made up of nervous tissues, and it consists of three main parts. They are the neuron, neuroglia, and nerve fibers. So neuron, which is also known as the nerve cell, and it is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. So this is an important question. Dash is the structural and functional unit of nervous system is neuron, and it is the longest cell and its length is 100 micrometer. And this neuron will detect, receive and transmit the stimuli or the signal. So it will detect the stimuli or detect the signal, then it will receive that signal and it will transmit that signal. And the informations are conducted or passed in the form of electrical impulses. So this is the neuron. And next is the neuroglia, which is also known as glial cells. These cells are non-existing and supporting cells, and it do not initiate or conduct nerve impulses. So its function is just it is supporting that cells. So it is an supporting cells. And next is the nerve fibers. These nerve fibers are long, slender processes of neurons. So these nerve fibers will help these neurons. Number of nerve fibers are bundled to form the nerves. Here we can see the structure of neuron. This neuron consists of three important parts. They are the cyton, the dendrites and the axon. The cyton, which is also called as the cell body or perikaryon, and it has nucleus and cytoplasm. As the cytoplasm is present in neuron, it is called as neuroplasm. And it is in the form of large granular body which is called as Nissels granule, and the other cell organelles like mitochondria, ribosomes, lysosomes and endoplasmic reticulum also present here. As like the other cells we studied that it will divide, but this nerve cell will not get divide, and there are neurofibrils are present in the cytoplasm which helps in the transmission of nerve impulses. So this is the cyton. So next part is the dendrites. These dendrites are the projections which are found in the cell body. They are numerous branched cytoplasmic processes. As this cell body is made of cytoplasm, and from this cell body, that is from the cyton, these dendrites are appearing, and hence it is the cytoplasmic processes, branched cytoplasmic processes. And it will receive nerve impulses from the other nerve cells, and it will conduct nerve impulses to cyton. So from other cells it will receive the nerve impulses and it will conduct, that is it will passes the nerve impulses to the cyton. So the next part of this neuron is the axon. The axon is a single elongated slender projection. So slender means thin. So this axon is single elongated and it is the thin projection from the cyton. And the plasma membrane of this axon is called axolemma, and the cytoplasm of axon is called axoplasm. And this axon will carries the information or the impulses away from the cyton. So the dendrites will receive the impulses and it will send to the cyton, and from the cyton this axon will carry the impulses away. And these axons are covered by an protective sheath. So this axon was covered by an protective sheath, and that protective sheath is called the myelin sheath. And this myelin sheath is covered by a layer of cells, and that cells is called the Schwann cells, and that layer we will call it as the neurolemma. So this axon was covered by a protective sheath called the myelin sheath, and this myelin sheath was covered by the layer of Schwann cells, and that layer is called as the neurolemma. Then this myelin sheath will breaks at intervals. So this myelin sheath breaks at intervals, and that we will call as the nodes of Ranvier. It is named as nodes of Ranvier because it was named by the scientist Ranvier. Hence its name is nodes of Ranvier. And this myelin sheath acts as an insulator, that it will conduct the impulses fast and it will send the impulses very fastly. And the region between the nodes and the region between these nodes are called the internodes. The region between the nodes are called the internodes, and the end of this axon terminates as the fine branches. So the end of this axon is terminates the fine branches which are like knob like structure, and we will call it as the synaptic knob. So we saw about the structure of neuron. Now we can see what is synapse. So in structure of neuron we studied that the end of the axon terminates as fine branches, and it terminates in the knob-like structure called the synaptic knob. So this synaptic knob of this neuron will interact with the dendrites of the next neuron, and the junction between the synaptic knob of this axon of one neuron and the dendron of the next neuron, that junction we will call as the synaptic junction. So this junction, that is the axon's synaptic knob, and this is the dendron of this neuron. So this junction we will call as the synaptic junction, and this information from this neuron will transmit to this neuron through this synaptic junction. While the information is transferring, the information will transfer in the form of the chemical, and the chemical we will call as the neurotransmitter, and the common neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. We can see how the nerve impulses are getting transferred, that is the transmission of nerve impulses. So what are the sense organs of our body? They are the eyes, ears, nose, skin, tongue. These are the sense organs. So here the nerves of these sense organs will receive the information, and it will transmit that information in the form of electrical impulses. And the dendrites will be present in the neuron. This dendrites will receive that information or the impulse, and it will send to the cyton. From that cyton, this axon will receive information, and through the synaptic junction, this axon will pass this information to the next neuron. So it will pass the information in the form of chemical, and that chemical we will call it as the neurotransmitter. And the main important neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is the important neurotransmitter. And as this information is passing through the synaptic junction, it is known as synaptic transmission. So by this information reaches to the brain or to the spinal cord. So if it reaches to the brain, then only the brain can stimulate the glands to secrete the hormones, and also the muscles to do their work. And per second, each neuron can transmit thousands of nerve impulses. So each neuron can transmit about 1000 nerve impulses per second. Here we can see the types of neurons. The neurons are categorized in two forms. They are based on structure and based on function. Based on structure, the neurons are classified into three types. They are the unipolar, bipolar and multipolar. These are based on structure. And based on their function, the neurons are classified into three types. Again, three types. They are sensory or afferent neurons, motor or efferent neurons, and association neurons. These are the based on function, and these are the types of neurons. We can see one by one. We saw that based on structure, there are three types of neuron. They are the unipolar, bipolar, and multipolar. The first one is the unipolar. In this neuron, here the cyton will give rise to only one nerve process, and this will act as both the axon and also as the dendron. And this neuron is found in early embryos but not in the adults. And the next is bipolar. This bipolar neuron here, the cyton will give rise to two nerve processes, and one will act as the axon and the another one will act as the dendron, and it is found in the retina of eye and the olfactory epithelium of nasal chambers. And the next one is the multipolar. In this, the cyton will give rise to many dendrons. So the cyton, from the cyton, many dendrons will appear, and there will be only one axon will be present. And these are found in the cerebral cortex of brain. So this is the types of neuron based on structure. And here we can see the types of neurons based on functions. So there are three types. They are the sensory or afferent neurons, motor or efferent neurons, and the association neurons. So the sensory or afferent neurons, here these neurons will carry the impulses from sense organ to the central nervous systems. So the sense organs are eyes, ears, nose, skin, tongue. These are the sense organs. From there, the informations are carried to the central nervous system, that is the brain or to the spinal cord. And this motor or efferent neuron, these neurons will carry the impulses from the brain or spinal cord, that is the central nervous system, to the effector organs. The effector organs are muscle fibers or glands. So these muscles only help in moving, and these glands will secrete hormones to do their functions. That is the role of this motor or efferent neurons. And the next is the association neurons. This neuron will conduct the impulses between the sensory neuron and also the motor neuron. So this association neuron will conduct impulses between sensory neuron and the motor neuron. So these are all the types of neuron based on the structure and also based on the functions. This is the structure of neuron. You all know about this. That this is the cyton, and from the cyton dendron or dendrites will be arise, and this is the axon. This axon is the nerve fiber, and the bundle of nerve fiber form the nerves. And there are two types of nerve fibers. They are the myelinated nerve fiber and non-myelinated nerve fiber. So if this axon was covered by this myelin sheath, it is called as the myelinated nerve fiber. And if there is absence of this myelin sheath, or if this axon is not covered by this myelin sheath, it is known as non-myelinated nerve fiber. This is the types of nerve fiber.